Hello and welcome back to the channel. We come to you today from beautiful Northeast Ohio. It is a beautiful fall day, but you know what happens in Northeast Ohio after fall? Yes, winter, snow, ice, ugh. So it is time for me and Mrs. E-Hermes to migrate south to our home on Sanibel Island in Florida. We're going to be going by way of Texas. It's right along the way. No, not really, but we do need to take the Casita back to have a little bit of service work done at the Casita factory in Rice, Texas. We're going to have a new refrigerator put in it, all electric. We'll talk more about that when we're down there. And we're just going to take our time and kind of mosey on down to Texas and then over and across and back down to Florida. So come along with us.
Welcome back to E-Hermes, your electric adventure travel channel. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit that bell button to be notified of our upcoming content.
So the Lightning is charged to 100%. But we really don't need that much. Our first stop is going to be at the Tesla Supercharger in Ashland, Ohio, because we can't quite get to Columbus from our home in Northeast Ohio with the camper. So we have one quick stop there, then we'll stop probably around Columbus, maybe the west side of Columbus like we did last time when we went out west with our oldest son. And then we have a pretty short day today. We're only going to the very edge of Ohio and Indiana border, and right off Interstate 70 to a Harvest Host, the Cedars Coffee. So we're going to be parking there and sleeping there, and then we'll have breakfast with them tomorrow, and then head on to another Harvest Host, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Here we go. Well, I lied. We did not stop in Ashland. We were able to make it all the way to Columbus. We were at a charger station here with pull-through stalls. We used 77% of the battery. We went 150 miles, and we'll charge up here to 80% and then get back on the road. All right, I really like the layout of this station here on the north side of Columbus. They're all pull-through sites, so even though I am in front of 4 of them, 2 of the other 3 that I'm not using can still be accessed from where I'm standing. So this allows us to not have to unhook the trailer and not inconvenience other drivers, plus there's plenty of other spaces. So we really appreciate this Tesla Supercharger on the north side of Columbus, just off the outer belt. We got almost 80 kilowatt hours of electricity in just over half an hour. I wasn't paying attention, so I actually got up to 81% instead of 80, so we'll easily make it to our next charger in Richmond, Indiana. I did not get a chance to start the video right away. I had to move the car once because I was blocking the driveway. I'll show you how I wrapped around the curb here. I think it's pretty good. We got here with 21%. So we went from 81 to 21, we used 60%. And I don't remember exactly how far we went, about 120 miles, I think. We're gonna charge here up to 90%. We're only 5 minutes from our Harvest Host. So we're gonna charge up really high so that we can use the Pro Power on board to power the camper for us tonight. There's no hookups where we're going. And so we're going to cook dinner and maybe take showers, run the water heater, the pump, all that stuff. So we want to get charged up a little higher than normal. Okay, so this is the Tesla Supercharger in Richmond, Indiana at the Myers store. Short cable, really had to stretch to make it work, but we got it to work. And then to get the camper around here, we use the transformer enclosure
And we're blocking this outer drive a little bit, but nobody comes this way around here. Just wrapped it around the transformer enclosure, almost at the trash can, but I missed it. Got the wheels tight against the curb, and then I had to pull up right against the pedestal to have enough cord even pulling it to get hooked up. So we're going to be here for about an hour because, like I say, we're going to go all the way to 90%, which the last 10% is really slow. But that's so we have plenty of power for tonight, and then we'll hit the road tomorrow. So next stop will be at our harvest host, the Cedars Coffee in New Paris, Ohio. We're actually going backwards. We actually went past our exit, I think 2 or 3 exits actually, but it's only about 5 or 10 miles. But we wanted to get charged, so here we are. Well, we drove the few miles to the Cedar Coffee, our harvest host stop for the night. As you can see, they have a nice big open lot here and a nice field. The actual coffee shop is down a path through those woods for coffee and breakfast. So we're gonna go have some dinner now. Mrs. E-Hermes made some chili before we came. We're gonna go have that and some cornbread, and we will see you in the morning.
Here we are headed down the picturesque path to the Cedar Coffee, where we had coffee and breakfast sandwiches, which were both delicious. It is also the home to Runaway Vine Winery, where we got a couple bottles for later on the trip.
After a very lengthy conference call unrelated to the trip, we are leaving with 79% state of charge, so very similar to what we would do if we were charging on the road. We used about 12% overnight. Well, probably 2% to get here and probably about 10% overnight. So for all the things it did for us, it's really nice to have the Pro Power on board powering the camper. Here we go.
Since we have a very short drive today, only about 180 miles, we decided to take it slow and easy despite our delayed start. We mostly avoided Interstate 70 and instead took the parallel US Route 40, the National Road. This took us through several small towns with distinctive vintage architecture, as you can see. As we approached Indianapolis, we got back on the interstate.
We are at the Indianapolis International Airport. Didn't really need to stop, but for charging we had about 40%. Probably could have got to Terre Haute or at least further down the road, but it's lunchtime and I was hungry, so I got the Pro Power on board, powering up the camper. And Mrs. E-Hermes is going to be heating something up in the microwave. And we got the refrigerator running, we got the water heater running, so all is good. Hi, Mrs. E-Hermes.
Hi.
All is good. We're gonna charge up here till we're done eating lunch, and then we will hit the road and be off to, we're gonna stop just again right before we go to the harvest host so that we have full power overnight. So we're going to stop in Marshall, Illinois, and then that's where the harvest host is as well. I think we're going to an EVgo station. This is obviously a Tesla supercharger by the airport. Very nice location, very easy access off the highway.
Lunch is served. Thank you, Mrs. E-Hermes. By the time we got done with lunch and using the restroom, unhooking the power from the camper that was hooked up to the truck, got back in the truck, we're up to 86%. What the heck? We don't need that much. We're only going 76 more miles, 79 miles. But that's what it got to, even without us trying. So here we go off to the EVgo in Marshall, Illinois.
Once we got out of the urban Indianapolis area, we got back onto US Route 40. We noticed that west of the city, the scenery was definitely different than east of Indianapolis. The terrain was more rolling and more wooded with farm fields mixed in, but with none of those small, quaint towns with their individual Main Street architecture.
So we got back onto the interstate, crossed over into Illinois, and then headed to the Pilot Flying J with the EVgo fast chargers in Marshall, Illinois.
I actually stopped at this EVgo charger at the Pilot Flying J in Marshall, Illinois on my way to Colorado earlier this summer, so I'm very familiar with it. And fortunately, there was no one else here. I was able to get the end spot, which allows me to, again, wrap the trailer around the electrical gear and make sure I don't walk into a blue post. Only be taking up the stall that I'm using. I actually pulled up to the other stall, decided I was going to use it because there's nobody else here, but it was the handicap stall. It says use it last, so we didn't want to do that. So we Squeezed it in here with Mrs. E-Hermes' help with getting me back up a few times. We didn't even block the air hose, which is back there. All right, we're going to charge up here probably to 90% again. Then we are off to Castle Finn Winery, our harvest host for this evening. We have arrived at our destination for the evening, Castle Finn Winery. They're closed today, but she's going to come and get us about 6:30. We're going to have some tasting and buy some bottles. We got here with 85%. We're about 12 miles from the charger. So when we get back to the highway tomorrow, it'll probably be close to 65 or so. That's okay. We'll stop in Vandalia. There's something there I want to show Mrs. E-Hermes anyhow. So we'll have a couple stops tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going across Illinois and then about halfway across Missouri to Montauk State Park, where we'll be spending 3 nights. We're going to have the leftover chili tonight, leftover cornbread, and probably some wine. See you in the morning.
Good morning from Castle Finn Winery near Marshall, Illinois. I'm sure the rest of my introduction to today's plan was excellent, but my audio failed, so I'm going to have to re-narrate it. After a beautiful sunset last evening, we had a restful night's sleep and awoke before dawn to be on our way. Today we will be continuing to Montauk State Park near Salem, Missouri, where we will be camping for 3 nights. We used less than 10% of the battery last night powering the camper, so we start the day with a 77% state of charge. That is plenty enough to get us to Vandalia, Illinois. We might not even need to charge then, but we definitely want to stop there, as there is a special surprise I want to show to Mrs. E-Hermes. Here we go!
Here we are at the Vandalia, Illinois Tesla supercharger. We got here with about 22%, might have been 23, I don't really remember. We're going to charge up to 80 real quick. Then we have one more stop in Fenton, Missouri. But before we go there, we have a special surprise for Mrs. E-Hermes. So right after this, we'll be to her surprise stop and let her play a little bit of magic. Yes, this is Mrs. E-Hermes' first visit to the world-famous Kaskaskia Dragon. To make the dragon do its thing, first of all, you go across the street to Mac's Liquor Store. You go inside to the counter. I know it's kind of ironic that a thing that might attract kids, the magic comes from a liquor store, but so be it. All right, so you give the people at the counter your $5. You get 5 tokens. They're $1 a piece. And now let's go across the street and see the magic. Mrs. E-Hermes is climbing the steps. Woo! Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Yes, indeed. Magic. Magical indeed.
Here is our obligatory look at the St. Louis Gateway Arch, as well as the crossing of the Mississippi River.
We have made it to the Fenton, Missouri Tesla supercharger. It's just outside St. Louis, just west of St. Louis off Interstate 44. We're going to charge here probably to at least 80% and perhaps even as high as 90%. We're the only ones here. We're not really blocking anything. The one truck that is there, I talked to the driver of that and he said we're not in his way. So we're going to stay here probably to 90% because we have quite a ways to go and there are no more superchargers. There's no more fast chargers really at all as we head into the Ozark Mountains and Montauk State Park. Mrs. E-Hermes is making us lunch, and then we will finish up charging, use the restroom, and get back on the road.
The Tesla superchargers in Fenton, Missouri are at a large convenience store called Wally's. If imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, the iconic Buc-ee's convenience store / gas station chain should be feeling very flattered. Wally's even uses a mascot strikingly similar to Buc-ee's beaver. Wally's has dozens and dozens of gas pumps, but inside the store is where it becomes clear that this is a cheap knockoff of everyone's favorite beaver. The store is spacious and well lit, with ridiculous amounts of prepared foods, coffee and soft drink dispensers, and general merchandise of all kinds. While there were certainly shoppers inside, the crowds were nowhere near the throngs of Buc-ee's customers that sometimes back up onto the highway. Copycat or not, we are always happy to see these large convenience stores with their multiple EV charging stations.
After checking out Wally's, we decided on our route to get to Montauk State Park. We're not going to go down Interstate 44. We're going to take the scenic route through the Mark Twain National Forest, and we're going to have another brief charging stop in Iron Mountain, Missouri. There's a charge point there that helps us bridge the gap, so we don't need to go to 90% here. I'm done with lunch, so let's get on the road.
There's some doubt about whether we needed another charging stop before we get to the campground, but there's no doubt that we need some groceries. So in Ironton, Missouri, there is a charge point, 125 kW, although I'm only getting about 70, and I'm the only one here. Charger at the Save-A-Lot grocery store. So Mrs. E-Hermes is in there getting our groceries. I'm charging the vehicle and getting the refrigerator ready for her to put the groceries away. So this will be our last stop. We'll be at Montauk State Park in about another hour and a half.
We have arrived at Montauk State Park. We'll be staying here for the next 3 nights. We're actually visiting my brother and sister-in-law tomorrow. They live in the area. Then we'll tour the park on Thursday, and then we'll head out on Friday.
Montauk State Park is very EV friendly. They have 2 charge point 125 kilowatt chargers at the lodge. So I'm going to get a little boost there, and then tonight I will come back and charge to 100% before we leave, because they also have 4 J1772 chargers that I can let sit on the truck all night, walk back to the campground, then I'll walk back up here in the morning and we'll be on the road.
Besides being EV friendly, Montauk State Park is also known for Montauk Spring, the source of the Current River, and it is a trout fishing mecca where anglers of all types come to try their luck, and, from what we could see, they are quite often successful. They even have areas set up to allow the disabled to be able to fish. They are so serious about their fishing here that they have an air raid siren go off in the morning when fishing is allowed, and again in the evening when fishing is no longer permitted. Montauk is also known for its active trout fish hatchery, which is spread all across the park. We saw millions and millions of fish, from small fry up to some large monsters, in the various pools around the property. At the end of the production line, staff were busy moving the largest fish from their final pool to a holding area where they are loaded onto trucks and distributed to trout streams throughout the area.
Good morning. As we said we were going to do earlier in the video, we brought the charger up to the slow chargers last night, charged up to either 99 or 100% overnight while we slept, just like at home on a level 2 charger. Then got up this morning, took the pleasant maybe quarter-mile stroll from the campsite to the chargers, and now we're ready to hit the road with a full charge. Here we go! Well, this is certainly not helpful. Yes, they have DC fast charging here. Wonderful, beautiful, except they've parked vehicles in front of all of them. They even have it in front of the J1772 chargers.
Turn left onto North 20th Street, then turn left.
I don't know what they're thinking.
Finally, a dealership that gets it. Tri-Lakes Ford, just north of Branson, Missouri, welcomes EV charging. We actually stopped at least 3 other dealerships: Dodge, a different Ford dealership, and a Chevrolet dealership, and all of them had their chargers blocked by ICE vehicles. The other Ford dealership up in Ozark, even his level 2 chargers, he had ICE vehicles parked in front of him. So there was no way you could charge there. The Dodge dealership, without the trailer, I might have been able to, but Tri-Lakes Ford is very welcoming. Big sign when you pull in the lot so you can find them. The lot is also big and spacious. They're pull-through stalls, so you're able to charge, leaving the camper hooked up. So we're very happy about that. Thank you, Tri-Lakes Ford in Branson, Missouri. You guys are some of the good guys. We are going to be charging here to 80%, and then we are off to our second favorite small town, which is Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and then just beyond that is Beaver Dam Reservoir and Dam Site Campground, where we'll be spending the next 2 nights. So we'll get charged up to 80% here. I'm getting pretty good speeds, over 100, and then we'll be off to Dam Site. We have arrived at Beaver Dam State Park, Dam Site Riverside Campground, I think it is technically, Site 4. Not the greatest site for leveling. We struggled with that quite a bit. It slid a little bit on the block, the front block, but with all the jacks down and the wheels chocked securely, I think we're okay. The reason we came here is we're going to go to our second most favorite small town. Our first most favorite small town is Eureka, Colorado, but our second most favorite small town is Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And that's where we'll be going tomorrow to walk around and do some other things, although the weather's a little iffy. We'll see how that goes. We're going to be here 2 nights. We have the truck charging off the 50 amp, the trailer plugged into the 30 amp, and we have the grill and the hot plate plugged into the 20 amp duplex outlet. So we're glad we have the full pedestal with all 3 outlet types.
Despite the stormy forecast, the next morning we visited Eureka Springs. So what do we find so intriguing about Eureka Springs, Arkansas? While its scenery and topography are picturesque enough, they cannot compare to Eureka, Colorado, which is set in a bowl of the Rocky Mountains. So what is the appeal? It is actually a combination of several things. First, it is a really old town dating back to the 1800s. Second is its old, cool architecture that is old school, even though most of the original town burned several times in the 1800s and early 1900s. It is kind of like a smaller version of New Orleans, with its steel balconies overlooking the main streets. But mostly it is the hip vibe that is hard to show or describe unless you are there. Even though it is in a politically conservative state, it is very progressive, at least in the downtown. Out of town, there's a beautiful glass chapel and a large Jesus statue that overlooks a Passion Play performance. While we are not quite old enough to remember, it seems to be out of a early 1970s counterculture era, like a modern-day hippie culture. It is open and diverse enough that I also think it can kind of be what each visitor wants it to be. Of course, the architecture is very old and stunningly beautiful. Years ago, Mrs. E-Hermes and I actually stayed in the upper room of this wedge-shaped flatiron building. We recall sitting on the balcony watching the people on the street below and eating out on the balcony of the hotel across the street. We certainly didn't let the rain hold us down as we walked by most of the shops and went in to browse at the majority of them. All in all, once again, we really enjoyed our time in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Well, 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 what a difference a day can make. After our tour of Eureka Springs, Arkansas yesterday, we actually had to rush Mrs. E-Hermes to the airport so she could get back to Ohio for a family emergency. So from here on out, I'll be carrying on alone. Also yesterday, while we were on the way to the airport apparently, there was a severe storm that came through the area and knocked out power not only to the park here, but also to Eureka Springs itself. That power was restored about 10 o'clock last night, so we were able to get a full charge on the Lightning. So I think we'll have one charging stop on the way to Oklahoma City today and then one right before we get there because, again, I'm staying at a Harvest Host winery. There won't be any hookups, so I'll need full power to run the camper. During that storm last night, that camper across from me actually had a tree limb go through the roof. So I don't think anybody was injured, but certainly damaged the camper. Anyhow, let's get on the road and get headed to Oklahoma City. Here we go.
So I always use a rule of thumb when planning trips that on a 100% charge pulling the camper, I can go 180 miles, and on an 80% charge, about 150 miles. Today I had an opportunity where I was fully charged, and the charger it wanted me to go to was 178 miles away. We made it there with 4%, so I probably could have gone about 182 to 185 miles, but we made it, and we're going to get fully charged here. It's probably a good thing Mrs. E-Hermes isn't with me for this. She would not find the interest in getting down to 4%.
We got here to the Walmart store. This is Walmart branded. It's not Electrify America like they usually are. So it's their own brand. You have to start it through the Walmart app, which we did. I'm not sure I have the right credit card hooked to that. Not real great, but not real horrible for pulling a trailer. The end one up here is the handicap one up there. That one right there. That's the handicap one. They want you to use that one for last and leave it for handicap, so I get that. So we pulled the other way. There's an island at the other end that blocks me, so I couldn't really do that. I'm out on the driveway, got the flashers on. I'm not really blocking any other chargers though. Other cars could get in here. Of course, there's nobody else here anyhow. But if they needed to, 1, 2, all 3 of these are accessible, even with me here. This is the closest one, and they can certainly get in on this side. So may not be easy, but it's certainly doable. And we're going to be here for quite a while since we were down to 4% when we got here. We're going to go at least to 80, maybe 85%. And then we will head off to Norman, Oklahoma, where we'll find another charger, and then we'll be to our Harvest Host after that. By the time I walked into Walmart and purchased an SD card for the GoPro, because my other one failed for some reason, and then I walked over to McDonald's and had some lunch, and then I went back to the truck and programmed in my next stop, and by then it was 84%. So we unplugged and we're on the road, headed to Oklahoma City. We're going to try a Tesla supercharger there, and then down to Norman for our Harvest Host at Native Spirit Winery. Not the best situation. Maybe I could get to that one over there, but there was a car there when I got here. I'm definitely blocking the driveway, although people on this side of me can get on that side, and people on that side of me can get on that side. So I'll stay right with it. If I have to move, I will. All right, we have arrived at Native Spirits Winery in Norman, Oklahoma. They have a very nice property here. We're parked in the grass. We leveled up a little bit. The winery is right behind me. They're in that building. So we'll be going in there for some wine tasting and some food. They have a menu as well, so I'll be eating dinner there as well. We went 332 miles today. We did have the 2 charging stops. I think tomorrow we'll probably have 2 as well, even though we'll have a 50 amp outlet at our campsite tomorrow night. But at Bardwell Lake, I think it's called, in near south of Dallas. So we'll be going there tomorrow, and then that'll kind of end this episode of this series. Then after that, we'll be taking the camper to the Casita factory in Rice, Texas, and then down to Casita Works in Bryan, Texas, to have some the refrigerator replaced, actually, with an all-electric refrigerator that'll be much more efficient than our 3-way refrigerator is currently when it's running on electricity. So that's the main reason we're here, coming to Texas on our way to Florida from Ohio. Not exactly on the way, but we made it work. So yeah, let's go in and have some dinner, and we will pick it up in the morning. Good morning. We are on the road again. Apologies to Willie Nelson. We are headed for Texas. We're headed for Highview Park Campground at Bardwell Lake. And then tomorrow morning we will be taking the Casita into the Casita factory to have some service work done on it. So we're headed there this morning. We have 2 charging stops to make, maybe 3. Last night I left the climate control on the truck all night, which took quite a bit of battery, so we're leaving with 54%, and we're headed into a very stiff south breeze. So I'm not sure I'll get to the first Tesla supercharger I wanted to. I might have to go to a Francis Energy charger. We'll see how much range I can get. And then we'll have another stop probably just before we get into Dallas. And then from there, if the wind's not too bad, I might make it to the campground with only the 2 stops, but I might need a 3rd one just before I get to the campground. We'll see. Here we go. even with the high winds, you can see the flag in the background. I made it to the Pilot Flying J in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Got here with about 17%, went in, used the restroom, did a few other things. We're up over 80%. I'm ready to go now. We will have one more charging stop, but only one more, at a Tesla supercharger in Dallas. And then we will be able to make it the rest of the way to the campground without charging again. So we were always going to have 2 stops anyhow. I wanted to go a little further with the first one, but this works out the same. No real difference in the overall time. So let's get back on the road. All right, we have made it to the Tesla Supercharger in Dallas, Texas. It is 5100 Beltline Road. It is a great location for a trailer. The end stall only backs up against parking spaces, and as long as nobody's in there, you can pull in like this, take up a couple spaces that nobody's using anyhow, not block a single stall except for the one you're using. So this is a great location. Although I have to say, if someone happened to be in that end stall when I got here, that would have been more problematic. In fact, someone did pull in just ahead of me, and I was thinking, no, please don't go there, please don't go there. And they didn't. They went further down, so I was easily able to get in there. So we're charging up here. We don't have much. In fact, it might have been possible we could have skipped this altogether, although it would have been really, really close. Even more close than I'm comfortable doing, even without Mrs. E-Hermes with me. So we're going to stop here and get a little bit, and then we are headed off to Highview Park Campground, Bardwell Lake in Ennis, Texas. And that is where we'll be using as a home base for our Casita service work. We'll spend the night there tonight, and then I'm taking the trailer into the Casita factory first thing tomorrow morning. And then if they get done, I'll take it down to Bryan, Texas tomorrow night for work the next day, replacing the refrigerator as we discussed earlier. And that'll probably be the focus of our next episode. We'll show some of the service work, both at the Casita factory and at Casita Works.
Well, we have arrived at Highview Park in Bardwell Lake in Ennis, Texas. This we'll be using as a base for the next couple nights as we get some service done on the Casita. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this chapter of our story, Fall 2025 Migration from Northeast Ohio to Florida via Texas. Chapter 2 will deal with the repairs themselves, and then Chapter 3 will be the rest of the leg of the trip from Texas down to Florida. So we certainly hope you enjoyed this look. If you did, please hit the like button. Of course, we know you're subscribed by now, but if not, please do so. And hit that bell button to be notified of our upcoming content. Thank you!